Hey YouTube, it's Marita from the Nurse Lounge, and today I had a viewer, actually not a viewer, a follower on IG write to me or email me and simply say that she hates her job. Actually, I've had several people, email me and say they hate their job or they're going through something at their job. So we're going to talk about today. I hate my job. So now what? What do I do? So if you want to see what my tips are, suggestions are for what you should do if you hate your job, then stay tuned. We're gonna jump right on in. So I have a note card here per usual to keep me on track. So don't mind me if I'm looking down from time to time. But I wanted to basically talk about I hate my job. So now what? And again, if you saw the intro, then you'll know that there was a couple of people who either emailed me or they put a comment in my description box, and they were talking about, or left comment, shall I say, on YouTube, and they were basically talking about how they hate their job, but they have no clue about what to do, where should they go. So these are the tips that I suggested to them, and I'm providing them to you because I'm sure that you all have days in which you don't like your job. So let's jump right on in. So I've experienced this myself, where it's a job that I absolutely hated, and I had to figure out what I wanted to do to. All right, so first, as I was saying, you want to kind of know, what's going on as to why you dislike your job so much. So the first thing I always like to consider is why. Why is it that I really dislike my job or hate my job, as the title states? Why do I hate my job? You need to figure out why. Is it a person? Is it a situation? Is it a feeling that you have? Or you feel like, is it a race issue? Is it is it the money? Is it the work responsibility? Figure out why it is that you hate the job. And once you figure that out, that's when you know where you can go from there. So let's just say, for instance, if it is a work relation. So there is a person at your job in which he or she is causing you difficulty. So then you need to, if that's the person, if that's the issue, then you need to kind of work it out with that person if possible. Do you feel like you are isolated? Are you outnumbered? Do you feel like you are a minority in the situation? Minority meaning either race or gender. Like if you are a male and you're in a population with all women, and the women are being catered to and you as a male are not. Or is it a race issue where you don't fit in the clique, so to speak? And I always tell people about cliques. In nursing, that's very, very real. In nursing, we are very cliquish, and so you kind of need to know where is it that you fit in at. And I'm not saying fit in the sense of like you're trying to assimilate to who they are, but fit in where you all get along. They're similar in terms of what they like to do or like to discuss, or just their work ethic. Even if you're working with people who are very lazy nurses, it's very difficult for you to work when they're lazy and you're not your worker. So therefore they'll put more work on you. They'll give you the hardest patient loads and things like that. So, you want to be mindful. Why is it that you're having these difficulties with whatever the situation is? Is it, what is the situation? Why? Why are you hating this job so much? Investigate that first. Once you investigate why you hate your job so much, then we move on to the circumstances that surrounding the why. So I kind of just alluded to that already when we're just talking about if it's the circumstances around the why. So let's just say we're going to use an example as it's a person. And the circumstances around this person is that they're condescending, that they, or you know what, we'll use me as an example because I have plenty of examples. So I had a situation, I don't have it anymore because I left that situation, in which it was a combination of a race issue, meaning that I don't feel like she was per se racist per se, but if you are familiar with minorities or African Americans who assimilate to the majority group, that's what the situation is. So as long as you assimilate to the majority group, she's okay with you. So if you're African American, she was white. And if you assimilate your ways to, you know, basically dumb down who you are. If you are someone who likes to be, you know, type A and get everything done a certain kind of way, and you have goals and standards, but this person does not, in my situation I'm talking about, they have no standards, they lack integrity, they have issues with accountability and things like that. And if you're someone who happens to be a minority and you assimilate to that and kind of like, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, kiss their tail type of thing, she will like you then. But anytime you want to bring up something that is right in terms of this is how you should be done, but they don't do it that way, and you're seen as the bad person because you brought up something and they want to kind of go status quo, which is very, very wrong, then it's kind of like, you know, you're the bad guy because you brought up a quality issue, a QI issue within the workplace. And that's kind of what happened to me. I brought up a QI issue where we were trying to evaluate students based on their performance, but we were not all evaluating on the same way. So for instance, they were giving students five, the other instructors were giving students fives, and five was the highest you can get. But at the same time, when they're giving students fives, they were also putting in the comment box that they needed help with assessments and organization. Well, you're clearly not a five, which is perfect basically, if you're still needing help with assessments and assessment skills and organization. So I was just bringing that to her attention, and she's like, oh, well, you need to understand that that person is new and this, that, and the other. I said, that's perfectly fine that the person is new. I'm just saying we need to have a standard. And so she would always come back on me as I'm the one who's causing problems because I'm saying we need to have a standard straight across about a 5 means this, a 4 means that, a 3 means this. And so therefore it confuses the students when they didn't know that why am I a 5 with this instructor and a 3 with this instructor? Because the instructor who gave all fives did not know how to evaluate. And that's kind of what I was bringing up. Well, she didn't like the fact that I had brought that to her attention, and she didn't like the fact that I was calling out her friend who was the evaluator, shall I say. And so anyway, she would kind of give me grief and undermine me and, you know, with students and things like that. She made me kind of hate my job. And those are the circumstances around the why. She was undermining. She was sometimes incompetent. She was arrogant. She did not want to listen to anybody. Everybody had to listen to her. She wanted ideas, but she really didn't. She would say she wanted help and ideas, but once you gave them, they were dismissed, especially from me. She was just that kind of person. It's just like, okay, so she wants to be a leader, but yet she doesn't have a leadership role model. She's not a leadership role model, shall I say. She's just not one to lead very well. And so I haven't called her out on that. That's not the issue for me. You do what you do. But if we're going to evaluate students a certain way in academia, they need to be, you know, across the board, clear across the board. They need to have a certain standard throughout, not where this instructor says this instructor says that, and they don't even meet in the middle. Or we have an instructor giving perfect fives and then evaluating them in their comment section saying that they don't even, they need more improvement on their assessment skills. Again, clearly you're not a 5, and she's going to stand behind that one, but not behind what I say. So those are the circumstances around my why. Why did I hate the job? I hated the job because it was a person. I won't say I hated the person. I just hated the environment in which that person and everything else worked, type of thing. It was a environment which, if you did exactly what she said, even if it was wrong, you were good to go. But when you had a certain standard, when your license is on the line, when your integrity is on the line, when all those things, accountability is on the line, she wanted you to veer from your beliefs and move into her beliefs, which is not against what I believe. So I didn't do it. And we always had issues with that. So then my next thing is, we talked about why. Why are you hating your job? Is it a person? Is it a circumstance? Is it a work environment, not enough money? Is it a workload situation? Is it too far from your house and you thought you could handle driving that far, but you see you're not liking it? We talked about the circumstances surrounding the why, that kind of falls into what I just said. The next is, if it is a person, have you went to that person? Now, a lot of times, by the time you're able to go to that person, or you should follow the chain of command. So you start with the person that you have the issue with first, if it is a person issue. And then you try to discuss your issues or concerns with them at that point. If they are not budging, or you've talked about it, and which in my case, we've talked about these issues, and she agreed in front of other people, mind you. Her boss, she agreed with everything in front of her boss, but then when behind closed doors came around, she reverted back to the same person she was. So in my situation, she I tried talking to the person. I tried explaining my side of the story, with her, and helping her understand as to why we should be, all on the same level. We should all be on the same team, not where it's obvious to the students that you are trying to, I wouldn't say sabotage, but they begin to even realize, kind of like how a child would be when you have one parent that says one thing, and they can go to the other parent, so to speak, and say, hey, daddy, can I go? Or mama, can I go here? Now, the other parent already said no, or whatever the situation may be. Well, though, that the students were kind of like that child who does that. And it's kind of like me and her would be the parent, so to speak, where I would say I need an excuse as to why you don't have the right color shoes on, as an excuse, as an example. And she'll go back and tell the student that they can wear whatever they want to wear. That's not in the handbook. That's kind of an example of what I'm saying, that that's what she would do all the time. That's just one example. It would be other issues as well, but that's just an example. So going to her is what I did first. But then after that, my next step is, did you follow the chain of command? So with her, this situation, I did follow the chain of command. I went to the next person above her, and actually we all had a meeting, including her, her boss, which is over me as well. But all of us had a meeting together, and like I told you before, she decided that she was going to, in their face, say, oh yes, we're going to do X, Y, and Z. And yes, I'm so sorry we did this to you. And I'm so sorry this, that, and the other. But then now behind closed doors, she's reverted to the same person that she was. So then what am I going to do about that? This is the issue. This is the issue. This is where most of you are. No matter whether it's because of pay, whether it's because of your workload, because of another person, because of the work environment, what are we going to do now? We need to think about this. So mentally, what are you going through? Or physically, what are you going through? If I'm at a point in my life now where having peace means the most to me, having peace, not money, but having peace. And where I was with this situation, in my situation, was I didn't have any peace. I would simply go to work, get my little money or whatever, and I always knew there was going to be something that she's going to come back with later. And I just could not stand the fact that no matter what I said or did, even though it was right and it was right by the book, she would undermine me and do whatever she did. And then the students would go to her and say, oh, well, she said we have to do X, Y, and Z, because that's what your handbook says. And she wasn't following the handbook, but she would tell us we had to follow it, but yet she didn't follow it. And she would undermine, trying to befriend the student. That's the issue that I have. What am I going to do about it? Or what did I do about it, shall I say? I decided that it's not worth my sanity. You're not going to jeopardize my license. You're not going to jeopardize me having integrity or accountability that she obviously lacks. So I decided it was time for me to move on. Now, is this going to be something good for you to do? Can you move on from your situation? Are you in a situation where you can quit your job? Are you in a situation where you can move departments if you choose to? Can you go talk to the higher ups? Are they already in cahoots with the higher ups? Is that an issue for you? You may have to make a decision. What are you going to do? This is much like having a bad relationship where you have to kind of start over sometimes. So when you're in a bad relationship, which is basically what the same thing is, like an intimate relationship with you and a significant other, this is no different than that in this regard. When you're in a bad relationship, what are you going to do? So you're going to basically say, okay, let's evaluate this. What are the pros? What are the cons? Should I leave? Should I go? After you evaluate that, look at your list. If you have more pros than cons, maybe it's something that you can deal with. If you have more cons than pros, or if that con is only one con, but it's significant compared to your list of pros, then maybe you still should go. There's no job worth having that's going to cause you stress all the time. Because keep in mind, as a nurse, you're going to be stressed enough. So if you have a bad work environment or a bad person that you're working with, can you change schedules around where you don't have to work with them anymore? If that will fix it. Think about those things that can basically fix it. But at the end of the day, you may have to just leave. And keep in mind this, you may be praying like, I prayed for something better. I prayed for this job. I really need to keep this job. True. But at the same time, this job may not be the one that God wants you to have. And I've seen many nurses, myself included, who God will close the door because there's another one that's open somewhere else that's meant for you to have. He will make decisions for you when you won't make decisions for yourself because you're comfortable where you're at. That I have learned the hard way many times over. There's been so many situations where I've either watched another nurse or myself where we were pushed out of a situation, made to feel uncomfortable, made to, matter of fact, in this situation right here that I'm talking about, it was to the point where the person didn't even fire me. She just basically said, I'm going to cut your hours, but I'm going to hire somebody else to fill the hours because that was her way of trying to get back at me. I said, okay, so that prompted me to go to other schools and start looking for other jobs with other universities. Now, mind you, I've told you all before that Tennessee is an at-will state. So that means they don't have to have a reason to fire you. So it can't be something that's more of my teaching style that had, because that would be something, a reason to fire someone. If you have poor performance in your teaching, you have a very poor attitude, if you are, late and tardy, things like that. All these reasons that I should have for her to let me go. If that were the case, she would have done so. So that's how I know it was more so personal than it is, professional. Because professionally, if I was doing something wrong, again, I would have been let go. And it is what it is. So anyway, that prompted me, that situation I just talked about prompted me to go look into other universities and see how they run their programs. I have learned a lot from that. I've learned just a lot from that situation. I've learned that, you know what? I am good at what I do. She tried to make me feel like that I was the one who was inadequate, that I was the one who did not know how to do my job. She was the one who made me feel like I, was incompetent. She was condescending. She was putting down. She's like, oh, but yes, this, that, and the other. She has a doctoral degree. So she would use that as if that was her, her way of saying that, hey, you don't really know because you don't have this, that, and the other. And I'm kind of like, I'm very competent in my area of nursing without the doctoral degree. So if that's what you needed to talk about basic nursing, if you needed a doctoral degree to talk about fundamentals of nursing, then you've wasted your money. The doctoral degree takes you beyond fundamentals. And that's kind of the things I'm talking about. She would try to throw that in your face. I'm Dr. Such and such. And don't nobody care. We talking about basic nursing, fundamentals of nursing, and you're bringing that up. I'm about to go get mine, but I never throw that in somebody's face like I have a doctoral degree. I think I would know. I learned the fundamentals of nursing in nursing school as a baccalaureate prepared nurse. So that means nothing to me. But that's the kind of clout that she would try to, as if she had. She don't have none with me, but that's just kind of what I'm saying. So I learned so much going through other universities, and I teach the exact same way. That's when I realized, okay, if I'm such a bad person, if I really was such a bad instructor, why come none of these other students? Now, mind you, they do tell me I'm tough. They tell me that I'm tough. And I have to agree with that. I am, because nursing is tough. But why is it that nobody else complains about the same issues that she complains about with me? Why is that? Because of the fact that I know it's her. Because if that's the case, if I'm such a bad person, these jobs will have you feeling like it's you who is the bad person. It has them have you feeling like you're the one who's inadequate. It has you feeling like you're the one who is incompetent. It has you feeling like you're the one who is crazy when really it's other people who are crazy. It has you crying at home. It has you dreading going to work the next day. Don't let that be you. If you hate your job, now what? Now what is time for you to make a decision? Should I stay? Should I go? Should I change departments? Let me evaluate why I'm bothered by this. Pray about it. I've always prayed for God to reveal the negative and remove the negativity from my life. And sometimes when you pray for things, you get exactly what you pray for. Meaning that the very thing that you didn't think that would be the issue really was the issue. The thing that you thought that you didn't want taken away from you was the thing that was taken away from you because it was time for you to move on. That's kind of where I am at this point. It's time for me to move on. And that means I have something bigger and better waiting for me. I hate my job, so what? Okay? And what? What am I going to do? It's time to move on for my situation. You have to do what's good for your situation. Now, mind you, with that in mind, if you've moved on for 4 or 5 or 6 jobs, and the same issues arise at every single job, then guess what? You're the common denominator in all that. Go to 6 different places and you have the exact same issues, the exact same complaints at all 6 places. You may be the common denominator in that situation. It may be an issue with you. That's when it's time to look at yourself and reflect and say, okay, hey, maybe I am the issue. Maybe I do have an attitude problem. Maybe I'm not as much of a team worker as I thought I was. But if you have ruled that not to be true, like I did, I had to go other places to see, okay, is it just me? Maybe I'm the issue. Maybe I do have a problem, okay? No, it's not me. Because again, everywhere else I work, they have wonderful things to say. They're actually, helping me get other jobs and other opportunities and writing my referrals for school. And they're, oh, here's some money for you to go to school. I mean, why would they be doing that? What benefit would it be to them? So I know it's just something that this person has an issue with me. And keep in mind, people who are jealous of you will treat you like that. And that's what I'm beginning to learn about my situation. When they're jealous of you, they look at you and like, oh, you have things, or they don't tell you that, of course, but you have things halfway together, and I don't, but that's what they think. Because I carry myself in such a way where people think I have it together when I don't, or not all the way together. But when those things happen, that's when they're like, okay, you know what? They're jealous of you. And the sad thing is, they have more than you and still be envious of you. That's the kicker. This person is married, 2 kids, nice house, 10-year track position, all this, and she worried about little old me, okay, who's still in school, who is renting a house at the moment until I can buy one when I finish school. I'm not even near where she's at, but yet she's worried about what I'm doing. That's the kind of thing that I'm talking about. I'm not worried about what she does. I could care less. I'm happy that she's, doing well in her career, even if it means that she's lying and she has no accountability and no integrity and she's not honest and she's not professional and all that other stuff. But nonetheless, she's still a nurse, and I have to respect that part about it. But I wanted you to know that you could be whatever you want to be. You have to work hard. You have to make sure that you're not the issue. You need to pray about it. Once you pray about it and you decide that, or you realize that, when you ask for this negativity to be removed and you realize the very thing that you thought that you was going to keep was going to be taken away from you, that's when God has shown you it's time to redirect. It's time to go somewhere else. It's time to get your life together from another aspect. He's trying to show you something. He's trying to show you this negativity over here is what he purposely wanted to happen. He chose that to happen to you, not because he wanted to hurt you, because he wanted to help you watch you grow. The very people who are beneath you, not beneath you, but the very people who bring you down, remember, will be your step stool. You'll be looking down at them when you move to the next position. So don't look at it as a way as like, they're always trying to hurt me. They're always trying to make fun of me. They're always trying to belittle me or put me down or whatever. Let them, okay? Because that means God doesn't like ugly. Karma comes back, okay? It comes back. They'll get it. They will get it, okay? You may not see it, but they'll get it. So don't worry about them. This video is long enough. I want you to pray about it. I want you to think about why you hate your job so much. If it's time to move on, please do move on if you can. If you have to stay, you have to stay for the moment. Sometimes it's because you have children or you have other obligations that you have to do to stay in a situation. But if that's what you have to do, do so. But just have an exit strategy, much like a relationship. Have an exit strategy. So, okay, you know what? I have to deal with this for 1 more year or 1 more whatever it happens to be. Deal with it and then make your exit strategy. Be looking for other jobs, things like that. That's what you need to do. Hopefully this was informative for you. If you have any questions or concerns, please put those down in the comment section. You can email me at marita@themelaninrn.com and I will answer questions there. If you have a video, or not a video, but if you have a question about nursing, being an OB nurse, my DMP journey, leave that below as well, or you can email me. Until the next time, you all take care.